would I rather buy Beam or Ethereum? Hands down, it's going to have to be Beam, even though that's not financial advice. The reason being because I like hypothetical upside, and I think Beam just has Ethereum beat in that aspect. And let me show you what I'm talking about, because if, let's say, Beam were to go to the price of $1, that right there is around a 31x from here. So first of all, it's not the best upside, but considering how much Beam has pumped, much like I predicted, by the way, doing an additional, let's say, 31x doesn't seem too caca. At least that's the way I take a look at it. Not to mention, if it were to again go to the price of $1, considering current circulating supply, market cap would be around $50 billion, which isn't too crazy, by the way. We've seen like Dogecoin reach over 80 billion. We've seen BNB reach over 100 billion. So I'm not talking about like a crazy figure here. But even besides that point, if Ethereum on the flip side were to do a 31x from here, the price would be around $122,000, which I think is insane, like let alone over 100 grand in this case, right? That's totally out of the question. But even besides that, the market cap, considering current circulating supply, would be around $14.7 trillion. So the way I take a look at it is that when it comes to, first of all, this market cap, nearly 15 trillion, that's insane. Like, that's over 7 times the GDP of Canada back in 2023. I mean, just let that sink in. Not to mention, again, how can Ethereum reach over $100,000 during this bull run? Like, I mean, that's just not realistic in my opinion. Can Ethereum even reach like over $30,000 during this bull run? I mean, that's so highly unlikely, right? Now, of course, you never know, but I'm just saying that's like insane, let alone over 100 grand again. So when I take a look at, these two options, what would have an easier time doing over 30x from where they are as of right now? I'm not talking about years ago, by the way. I'm talking about currently. I think hands down is going to have to be Beam because, again, market cap is way lower, much more in the gas tank for it, at least as of right now. Now, does this mean that Ethereum is this caca thing? No. I mean, when you take a look at it, Ethereum, despite its drawbacks like the sky-high gas fees and scalability issues, it does have Ethereum layer 2s to kind of fix this type of stuff. And of course, the ecosystem is great. There's a lot of fans, a lot of hype. So that's good and all. But I'm not debating the fundamentals because, of course, Beam is going to lose out to Ethereum in that aspect. But I'm just basing it off of hypothetical upside. And I think Beam does win in that category. Now, some people, with that being said, they may think, okay, if you're so into like hypothetical upside, why don't you go all in on some random micro cap like meme coin? Well, I'm not looking for that either because, yeah, sure, that could do great. But I want to choose something that's like risky in a sense because, of course, everything has risk, but then the risk isn't too insane, but then it's not too boring either. If I got into Ethereum, it's a little bit boring. I mean, I get it's a little bit safe, but, it's a little bit boring. But when I take a look at something like, Beam, it's not boring because it's not too massive, but it's not too small either. Too small, like a micro cap, risk is just way too high. I don't want to deal with that. I'm looking for something in between, and I think Beam does fit that category. And not to mention, when you take a look at Beam, it's very special in a sense that it's an open source blockchain designed for gaming. Now, when you take a look at that, why is this so special? It's because when it comes to blockchain gaming, I think this could very well be the next big thing. Even for instance, right? You take a look at, according to Grandview Research, the blockchain gaming market is predicted to be worth over $300 billion by 2030. So I think, if anything, this showcases that blockchain gaming could very well be the next evolution beyond traditional gaming. Because, let's face it, gaming is usually viewed as a waste of time. If people can actually earn income, let's say through play-to-earn games, hypothetically, that's a total game changer. Then the average individual, they don't have to be some streamer or like something like that in order to earn income. They can just be like the average individual playing games, and hypothetically, they could maybe earn income through play-to-earn games. Now, again, play-to-earn games aren't really that massive as of right now because, granted, play-to-earn games, they're pretty much caca for the most part. They're a little bit boring. Like, no one really wants to play it. Usually, the tokenomics are out of whack. So, of course, there's still ways to go. But, when I see something like Beam being focused on gaming, again, I do believe that this right here could be so massive for its future because I think that especially blockchain gaming fixes its nonsense, like, the tokenomics and also the gameplay in terms of the quality of games, generally speaking. I'm not saying for everything, right? Then I think we can see that mass adoption for blockchain gaming, but it hasn't happened yet. But that, if anything, is good because Beam, they are preemptively, being prepared right now. So then later on, when it does take off, they're going to be able to go along with the ride. Just think about this. If I'm surfing in the ocean Is it much easier if I chase a wave that's 50 feet away, or if I put myself in a position to catch the wave? Much better if I wait for it, right? If I try to chase it 50 feet away, it can't swim faster than the waves in the ocean. That's impossible. You know what I mean? That's some Aquaman stuff. So when I take a look at something like, Beam, I do believe that this right here is very special. Now, not to mention, Beam is very dynamic. You take a look at the Beam SDK, its software development kit. This allows game developers to choose from a variety of tools that can be used to fuel and structure their in-game blockchain elements. Not to mention the Beam ecosystem. There's something called the Beam Swap, a decentralized exchange. There's the Beam Layer 0 bridge, a bridging solution, basically. And this is used to transfer tokens between Beam and other blockchains. You take a look at Sphere, an NFT marketplace. You also take a look at Beam OS, a portal for exploring tools and apps on the chain. And even Beam Block Explorer, a tracking platform for all Beam transactions and statistics. So Beam is very dynamic in that sense. Yeah, sure, it's primarily focused on gaming, but there's other aspects to it. Not necessarily I think that these other aspects really matter in the grand scheme of things. I'm more so focused on gaming here after all when it comes to Beam, which I think like probably 95% of people are when they take a look at Beam. But even besides that, it's good nonetheless. It's like having that extra seasoning, if that makes sense. Not that it's really going to help anyways, but you know what? It is what it is. It's like personally for me, ever since I was in like second grade, I was so good at building Legos. I was also always very good at math. But did that really help me like at all, really, in the grand scheme of things? Like, no. I mean, most of the math I learned isn't even used in day-to-day life, and not to mention who like even does Lego, I mean, I get it, Lego is cool, but I remember when I was in like second or third grade, I could even build any Lego, and I still can do it right now, by the way. Like, I'm very good at building Legos, like even the most difficult set, I could do it. Also math, by the way, like anything related to math. I mean, man, I'm just like a numbers guy, But even besides that point, like those skills, I would say it's kind of irrelevant, much like the other aspects when it comes to Beam, in my opinion. But you know what? I think it's a good addition nonetheless. And, you never know when I need to be in some Lego competition, even though that's never happened. But even besides that point, when I take a look at Beam, what created or launched Beam in the first place? It's something called the Merit Circle DAO. Now, this is amazing in a sense that if you take a look at it, this is, again, a DAO. Now, a DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. And this right here, by the way, right, is an entity that is designed to be fully autonomous without a central point of control. Now, typically, to obtain voting power in a DAO, users usually need to own its governance token. And in this case, Beam holders, right, they can vote. Not to mention, the rules of a DAO are established by a core team of committee members and is executed through smart contracts. So there's pretty much nothing, in my opinion, arguably speaking, this is debatable, that is more decentralized than a decentralized autonomous organization, aka again a DAO. So when I see something like the Merit Circle DAO, again, launching, or should I say creating Beam, this is amazing. Beam is pretty much super decentralized in my opinion, and I think that's hashtag super necessary, hashtag Jorge Masvidal, if you know, because in this day and age, people really love decentralization. So I think this right here is a big bonus. And again, when I take a look at Beam, I think it's arguably one of the best, blockchain-related gaming projects out there. And I think it has a bright future. I think the room for growth is a lot better than something like Ethereum. The way I view it is that, Beam would just have an easier time doing over 30x during this bull run as opposed to Ethereum. Not everything is going to be perfect in life. So the way I take a look at it is that Ethereum is good enough. But I think Beam, in terms of hypothetical upside, it's just very dynamic. And that is why I think it's the winner here for me. And again, $1 during this bull run wouldn't surprise me whatsoever, especially when I consider how there's currently over 600 million crypto owners, according to Crypto.com research, more than ever before in history. I mean, this bull could be so spectacular, especially with that many people. Can you imagine the buying pressure, the buying volume, and the FOMO? It could be through the roof, which is why I'm still very bullish on the crypto space overall. And I think 2025 could very well be the time to shine for something like Beam. Ethereum isn't going to do caca. It's going to do okay, but I think that Beam could do absolutely spectacular. And that is the winner here for me, especially during this bull run. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.